You probably think you're in charge of your thoughts, right? That all your big decisions are rational, logical, and based on the facts right in front of you. But what if I told you that most of the time there's a hidden, automatic process running the show, making judgments and choices for you before you even know it?
Okay, let's dive right in. The reason this matters, especially in business, is that our minds have this, well, you could call it a glitch. It's a predictable blind spot that can lead to bad hires, failed projects, and really costly errors in judgment. Understanding this glitch is the first step to fixing it. So let's put it to the test right now.
All right, have a look at this question. Now don't think too hard. Seriously, just go with the very first number that pops into your head. You got it? Okay, hang on to that answer.
If your brain immediately shouted 10 cents, then congratulations, you're perfectly normal. That's the intuitive answer, the one that just feels right. But it's also wrong. And the reason why it's wrong reveals something fundamental about how your mind is wired.
To figure out what just happened inside your own head, we need to meet the two main characters who are basically running your mental operating system. Think of them as two different processors, each with its own very specific job.
So first up, you've got System 1. This is the star of the show. It's lightning fast, totally automatic, and intuitive. You know, your gut reaction. It handles everything from recognizing a face to hitting the brakes in traffic. Then you have System 2. This guy's more of the lazy but brilliant supporting character. He's slow, deliberate, and requires real, conscious effort. This is the part of your brain used to solve a tough math problem.
And that brings us back to our puzzle. The correct answer is actually 5 cents. Think about it. If the ball is 5 cents and the bat is $1 more, the bat is $1.05. Add them together and you get $1.10. See? Your super fast System 1 just saw $1.10 and $1.100 and took a mental shortcut. To get the right answer, you have to wake up your slow, lazy System 2 to actually check the math. The problem is, System 2 would much rather just agree with whatever System 1 says and get back to relaxing.
And that is the key takeaway here. This little battle between our gut reaction and our logical thinking creates these predictable errors. These aren't just random mistakes, they're systematic biases. Let's look at 3 of the biggest mental traps that trip people up in business all the time. First one up, loss aversion. Here's the deal. Our brains are not neutral when it comes to risk. We feel the pain of a loss way more intensely than we feel the pleasure of an equivalent gain. And I'm not talking a little more. We're talking about it feeling roughly twice as powerful.
And you can really see this imbalance when you look at it visually. The psychological curve for a loss is just so much steeper than the one for a gain. This isn't just some abstract theory either. It shapes our real-world decisions every single day.
Just think about it. How bad would you feel if you lost a $100 bill? Now, how good would you feel if you found one on the street? That feeling of dread from losing it is way stronger than the joy of finding it, right? And that simple fact has massive implications.
Well, it makes us way too cautious. The fear of losing money on a failing project, that guaranteed feeling of loss, can trap us into sticking with it, even when we should just cut our losses. Or the fear that a new pricing strategy might not work makes us stick with the safe old way, even if the potential reward is huge.
All right, mental trap number 2 is the planning fallacy. This is just a fancy name for something we all do. We are wildly optimistic about our own plans. We consistently believe projects will take less time, cost less money, and have fewer hiccups than they ever actually do. Sound familiar?
And the reason this happens is pretty simple. We get stuck in what's called an inside view. We fall in love with our own plan, our amazing team, our big goals, and we completely ignore the most valuable piece of information out there. What happened when other people tried to do the exact same thing?
So the antidote is to get an outside view. Don't just ask your team for an estimate. Go find the real data. What's the average time it took for similar projects to get done? That historical average, well, it's usually a much more sober and accurate look at what's coming. And our third and final trap is a weird acronym, YSICAT. It stands for What You See Is All There Is. Basically, our fast-thinking System 1 is an incredible storyteller. It takes whatever limited info it has on hand and instantly spins a coherent, believable story. The problem is, it completely ignores all the information it doesn't have, and that leads to massive overconfidence and jumping to conclusions. All right, so we've laid out the problems, loss aversion, the planning fallacy, this whole whizzy-yaddy thing. We know our gut, our System 1, can lead us down the wrong path. So what do we do about it? How do we actually debug our own decision-making process? Well, it really comes down to a simple 4-step framework. First, recognize the signs. If a huge decision feels way too easy or if it's emotionally charged, that is a massive red flag that System 1 is in complete control. Step 2, just slow down. Seriously, take a breath. Don't let that instant gut reaction be the final word. Give your lazy System 2 a chance to wake up and get to work. Third, actively go get an outside view. This is your shield against the planning fallacy. Look for the stats, the history. And finally, number 4, ask yourself the most powerful question there is. What am I missing? This is how you fight Waziati. You have to actively search for information that proves your initial story wrong.
Okay, so let's wrap this up and put a bow on it. The big idea here isn't to get rid of your intuition. Your gut is incredibly useful. It's about knowing when to trust it, and more importantly, when to second-guess it.
Look, here's what it boils down to. Your brain is running on 2 systems, the fast gut reaction System 1 and the slow analytical System 2. Your System 1 is the default, and it's the source of these predictable biases, like being terrified of losses and way too optimistic about plans. These aren't character flaws, they're just how the human brain works. The secret to making better decisions is simply learning to spot those moments when you should distrust your gut and deliberately engage your slow analytical System 2 to double-check the work. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What's one really critical business decision you've made recently where you relied almost entirely on that gut feeling? Was it a System 1 call, or did you slow down and let System 2 do its job? Be honest with yourself, the answer might be pretty revealing.
If you want to take action, move forward, and find more clients, you can book a free call with CT Marketing using the link below.